Hello, all you true wayers out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
What up?
Today we're going to discuss and review Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Season 4, Episode 13. There's so many numbers. Crossfire.
You'll get caught up in the... We're also going to rate it. You forgot that part.
Yes. I don't know. My script just says discuss and review, so I think that's all we can do.
I feel like you always say discuss, rate, and review, so I was like...
I think at some point the script got rewritten to take that part out, but
okay.
I don't remember. Alternate title, Odo versus the Elevator, Part 2, The Revenge.
Yeah, he and the elevator do not get along.
Just stay out of elevators, Odo. On an unrelated note, I was thinking about this today. Did you or anybody you know actually own a Crossfire growing up?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I ever knew anybody who had a Crossfire.
I feel like the little pieces would get lost instantly.
Right. Or if they had one, we never played with it.
Mm-hmm. Because the pieces were already lost, that's why.
Right. Like, were those like little metal ball bearings it had or something?
Yeah, that's how I remember it anyway. Hold on, I'm going to look up Crossfire. You get caught up in the crossfire. Those commercials, though.
Right.
Man, you can buy one for $95 on Amazon, a classic Crossfire set. Yeah, it's like ball bearings and then like all other ball bearings with shapes around them.
Right. Yeah. Because you have to shoot the ball bearings at the star-shaped thing and twirl it into your opponent's goal or something. If Crossfire is a fun game, tell us in the comments. Or
if it's not. Either way.
Give us a review of the game in the comments. I guess that's what we need. Is it worth paying $95 for?
I can answer that question already. No, right. No, it's not.
It's like, no. As always, you can expect full spoilers up through the episode being discussed and a possible small number of minor spoilers for later in the series, but we'll keep those to an appropriate minimum. Crossfire originally aired on January 29th, 1996. It was written by Renee Echevarria and directed by Les Landau.
We know these guys.
I feel like we haven't seen Les Landau in a while.
Well, let's see.
Have we seen him this season? I don't think so.
His Deep Space Nine credits, before this one, it was Destiny was his last one. So that was Season 3, Episode 15.
Oh, yeah. So, he's been taking a little Deep Space Nine break, I guess.
I mean, maybe he was doing some Voyager at this time. He has 9 episodes of Voyager.
True.
So.
Yeah. Everybody's going back and forth these days. So, recap of this episode. Odo works in his office, meticulously setting out pads, ordering a cup of hot Ractigino. Then he sits down and acts casual until Kira walks in. They go over the crime report together, gossiping and sharing laughs. And then Quark comes in to complain about the noise of Odo's noisy shapeshifting.
Even when it's super quiet, it's too noisy. I don't know how he would ever survive anyone being in the room above him if, like, a mouse walking was a super annoying noise.
Yep. Sucks to be a Ferengi, I guess. But yeah, apparently Odo's quarters are right above Quark's quarters, which Odo brags is no accident. But it's a big day on Deep Space Nine. First Minister Shakar is coming to meet some Federation delegates or something. Remember that guy?
Kinda.
He and his adjutant are greeted by the whole crew in their dress uniforms, including O'Brien.
He's like, why do I have to be here? I'm not an officer.
The costume designer made you a dress uniform, and we're going to use it.
But also, apparently, if you're not an officer, you get no rank insignia on your dress uniform.
It's a don't pay attention to this guy uniform.
Okay, I have to say at this point, now that Shakar's here, I don't know about you, but he looks so different here from the first time we met him that I always thought it was a different actor. And it was only this time when reviewing all the stuff that I discovered, no, it's the same guy. He just looks way different.
Yeah, he has a haircut or something. And
well, his hair was white before, for one thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did notice he looked different, but I was like, they got nicer clothes on him and stuff.
Yeah.
So Shakar enters the promenade to an excited crowd. But Odo calls the captain with bad news. He's gotten a tip that someone is planning on killing Shakar.
Bum, bum, bum. Dramatic cutoff.
Bum, bum, bum. Someone is the true way. Or whatever those guys are called.
Yeah, I think that's right.
They're the guys who killed the Orinoco. Rest in peace.
Yeah, and apparently have killed some other people since then.
Right. So they apparently mean business. They tell the adjutant, but Shakar has no plans to leave the station.
Oh, I missed this note. When Shakar's ship docks, they're reusing the Wadi ship from Move Along Home as his ship.
Yeah, that was I feel like they used that shot more than even that. Like,
yeah. It says that this is the first time they used it, which I assume means it will get reused more.
Huh. It was a very familiar looking ship shot. But so Cisco has Odo beef up security, and since Michael Eddington is on vacation or something, Worf will assist.
It's like Michael Eddington's entire point here, and then this time when it's actually relevant, it's like, nah, we'll have Worf do it.
At least they remembered that Michael Eddington existed.
That's true.
A very rare incident of that happening when they didn't need an extra guy to be around doing something. So Odo and Worf coordinate their efforts and bond over their love of order.
And being left alone.
Yes, and dislike of unexpected visitors. It's like, what if next time Chief O'Brien comes over, I'm not nice to him? That'll put an end to that.
It's funny because for a lot of my life, I've definitely been like, no, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from here. Yeah, no. I don't know. This time I found it like slightly obnoxious, to be honest. But most of the times when I've watched this episode, I'm just like, no, I get it.
Just leave them there and don't invite them in. Don't give them a lemonade or whatever. And just, when they leave, be like, hey, next time call and maybe we can do some hanging out or something.
Yeah, it's like I would have, we could have done something if I'd known you were on your way.
Right.
So it says that the purpose of the scene between Worf and Odo, where they discuss order, was twofold. While it worked to inject some humor into a predominantly serious episode, it was also intended as a hint of sorts about a certain move that Worf is going to make in the future.
Ooh. So they're laying some groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
So Minister Shakar proves to be a difficult protection subject, as he wants to go down to the promenade to visit the temple.
He's just going to pop in. It's fine.
Right. A huge crowd forms, which includes a suspicious-looking woman who wields her child like a gun.
Well, it's like, I get she looked kind of suspicious at first, and then she reaches down with both hands to grab something, and Odo's like, oh my gosh, what's this going to be? And it's like, do you think that she was like dragging a bomb along with her feet or something, like as she shuffled through the crowd? What do you think she could possibly be reaching down for with both hands that she wasn't carrying before?
Could have been like a bazooka.
Well, but like, how did she get the bazooka here if that she now has to reach down for it? Like, you watched her progress the whole way.
Yeah. Maybe she like stashed it there. I don't know. Then it's time for a good old-fashioned reception scene in the wardroom, or wherever they do those receptions. Kira chats with the adjutant, who goes off to do some politically motivated spring ball with a Vedic.
Yeah, I like, oh, the Vedic's so good at spring ball, I'll go challenge him. And she's like, oh, you're good? No, I'm terrible. And I was like, well, wouldn't that be just really boring for the Vedic then? Like, he'll be annoyed that you can't give him a decent game.
Oh, yeah, good point. But, after you buy him a few drinks afterwards, Kira moves over to Odo and asks him why he never wears his belt anymore. And then I was like, oh, yeah.
I think we talked about that because it was in the notes on the episode where he stopped wearing it. That, like,
yeah.
He didn't like it for whatever reason, and it took this long for other people to notice.
Right. See, like, he kept his collar, but he lost the belt, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what happened. So to please her, Odo makes a belt, but she's too distracted staring at Shakar to pay much notice. And also, that was a different-looking belt.
No, I feel like it was more or less the same.
Oh. For some reason, I thought his old belt was like more of like a leather belt, but maybe I'm wrong. I never paid that much attention to it, I guess. I'm not like Kira.
Maybe you're thinking about Mirror Odo's belt. Maybe that one was different.
Maybe. So Kira heads off to turn in, and Shakar catches her and invites her for a walk.
And isn't going to tell his security team that he's leaving.
Right. Then Quark tries to get Odo to eat some food, even though Odo doesn't do that. And I don't know how Quark thinks that just like telling him over and over to eat some food is going to make a difference.
I felt like it was just his excuse for getting close to Odo and to do whatever. Because it's like, I'm charging by the head and you have a head whether you eat or not. So, like, natural Quark inclination, I feel like, would be to ignore Odo. Like, save money on the number of people he's feeding. I guess if that saves money, you're using replicators, I assume. Once again, when you start talking about that, it gets all weird.
Right. Well, I mean, he's charging for his services, so I don't know. So Odo goes to guard Shakar and Kira on the walk, and then Quark sees what's going on and does not seem to like it. On the walk, Odo sees Kira and Shakar hitting it off, which he does not seem to like.
Nope, not a fan.
Later, after a session of negotiations, I guess between Shakar and the Federation or whatever, Odo walks Shakar back to his quarters and commiserates with him over the Federation's reluctance to speed up Bajor's entry into the Federation. Like, these Federation types, they're all goody-goody, but then they won't listen to anybody's way but their own.
Yeah, I think it's a fun conversation where he's just like, every time I think that I've gotten them to understand this, they just circle back around to like, but this is how everyone does it.
Right. When they get back to Shakar's quarters, Shakar admits that he likes Kira and asks Odo if Kira likes him back. So having a little bit of a middle school conversation here.
Yep.
And then Odo was like, nope. And then Shakar mulls over whether he should tell Kira he likes her or just play it cool. And Odo's just like, whatever. So Odo's not enjoying this conversation.
Nope, he does not want to be here for this.
This episode is just a lot of Odo looking really uncomfortable.
It really is, yeah.
While people just completely fail to notice, except for Quark.
And I like, so it says the story for the episode originated in Robert Hewitt Wolf's idea for a bodyguard type story.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, did somebody watch The Bodyguard or...
The original idea was for Odo to be the bodyguard protecting Kira from something and falling in love with her in the process. As things transpired, the audience found out that he liked her back in Heart of Stone. But, so this idea was before that.
Okay, because I was like, first of all, we already know that Odo likes Kira.
So they kind of just kept this bodyguard concept on the books, and like maybe we'll find a place to use it after, they did the other thing.
When we need an episode, we'll pull it out.
Yeah, right.
In the ward room, Odo inspects the food provided by Quark and finds a listening device hidden in the fruit.
Well, just like set on top of the fruit, which is the crappiest hiding, really.
Well, it was on top of a fruit, but like under one other fruit.
Oh, okay.
So if nobody grabbed that one fruit, which Odo immediately did,
I just feel like there must be better places in this room to hide that, where someone, like, people are going to grab the fruit. That's why it's there. Like, why would you do that?
Maybe it's a dummy listening device to distract Odo from the real one.
Yeah, it could be.
Like, maybe the bowl itself is a listening device or something. You gotta figure Quark's gotta kind of sneaky. So, Quark tries to play it off as a sleep apnea monitor for Rom.
That's a bold move, yeah.
But Odo drops it in the punch. And it goes bzzz. And then Quark gets mad and calls out Odo on being in love with Kira. And then Odo gets upset and tells Quark to mind his own business, then he storms out.
Yep.
The next morning or something, Kira is running late for their meeting, and Odo is impatient. Kira finally shows up, but seems distracted. She says she already had coffee with Shakar, then immediately runs off to give Shakar a tour of the station, making me wonder what even was the point of her coming in and sitting down anyway.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, I forgot to mention, when she comes in, it's like she almost puts her feet up on the desk, but not quite. Not like in the old days when they would put them right up on the desk so we could see those cool boots.
Well, yeah, she definitely had them up on the desk the first time at the beginning of the episode. And I was thinking, like it just struck me in that moment where she's like, relax back, feet on the desk, laughing about like the crime report with Odo. I was like, she is so very different from the Kira that we met at the beginning of the series.
Right.
Like, this is not a scene that I would see Kira from the pilot episode doing.
Yeah, she's gotten a lot friendlier.
Yeah, for sure.
Lately. So, again, Odo personally provides security for this tour of the station. He follows them to the upper pylon, the most romantic area of the station.
Yeah, because you can see the wormhole, and it's all dark and private.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you couldn't just go to any other room of the station and turn the lights off, but whatever. They watch the wormhole open, and Shakara makes a wish, and then goes in for a kiss, but stops himself when he sees Odo back there, just kind of like staring around, trying not to be awkward.
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to be awkward in this situation. But...
Right. So the three get in the turbo lift to head back down. Odo listens uncomfortably as Kira invites Shakar for bullion food, which has aged meat or something.
Yeah, that was an interesting... She's like, this isn't going to sound good, but it actually kind of is. They age their meat.
I mean, people age meat, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe not on Bajor. Maybe they only like very fresh meat on Bajor. Then Odo gets a call from Worf that there's a blockage in the turbolift tube and they need to reroute. Then Odo asks for Worf's security code, but doesn't wait to confirm before handing over control of the turbolift.
Also, I feel like you should be more suspicious of this. Like, when have we ever heard of this happening before? That there was a blockage in the turbolift. And even if it did happen, like, aren't the turbolifts programmed to automatically go around that? Like, I don't... It's bizarre to me that this is how they decided to ambush them.
I think Odo dropped the ball for sure.
Yeah.
This plan should not have worked. I mean, it just goes to show how distracted Odo is.
Mm-hmm.
So the turbo lift immediately goes into free fall, which Odo stops by turning his arms into pistons and bending the walls of the lift to stop it, which I bet really burned.
Probably. So there's the note in here is visual effects supervisor Gary Hutzel was unhappy with the elevator scene in this episode. Not in how it looks, but in how it happens. Hutzel argues that I've always been of the mind that Odo is not Superman or a member of the Fantastic Four. Once you establish that Odo can change himself into anything, then why should he ever have to be afraid of anything ever again? Somebody suggested we should push the walls out of the sides of the elevator to stop it, and I glommed at that. I don't know what glommed means here. Of course, if he just stands there in his own form and pushes it out, then it's Superman. I wanted him to become some sort of device, but the director was very adamant about seeing Odo's face in the sequence, so we end up with this hybrid.
Okay.
I kind of like this idea that Odo becomes like a jack or something, like fully, and just like extends.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see. Like, he has, like, gears and stuff.
Yeah.
So, later in Sisko's office, Odo admits his mistake and attributes it to a distracting personal matter. And then Sisko sternly tells him not to let it happen again.
Yeah, I really like the way that Sisko plays this, where it's like, he is definitely stern, and he's expressing his displeasure here and his disappointment, but at the same time, when Odo is just like, it won't happen again, he's like, okay, that's all I need to hear because I trust Odo. So yeah, I liked it. That's some good management. The
president of the entire planet almost got killed, but so it's not a great situation. But what are you gonna do? I guess. But the station is locked down after the incident, so the hunt is on for the perp. Worf gets to work generating leads, but Odo is distracted. He leaves to go talk to Kira, but finds that Shakar is already visiting with her, and he's been there for 3 hours.
Yeah, I love that the first thing he does after telling Sisko he won't let this thing distract him again is to be distracted and not interested in the work that he's supposed to be doing, and then go off to talk to Kira.
And, like, I'm not clear what he was even going to talk to Kira about.
Yeah, I agree that it's unclear. I wasn't sure if he was like, I need to go and just, like, tell Kira how I feel so that I can get this out of the way, or what. We don't know, I guess, what he was thinking. And then when he discovers that Shakar's been there for 3 hours, he's like, okay, I'm just going to wait here until he leaves.
I mean, he seemed to have some kind of realization related to the case or something.
Well, he claimed to, at least. He's like, I'm going to go talk to Kira. And Worf's like, why? And he's like, you follow your leads, I'll follow mine. And I was like, that's bull. Like, he doesn't have a lead that he needs to talk to Kira about.
So you follow your lead that clearly sounds like a good lead. And then I'll go talk to Kira, who already gave her statement. It's like, are you sure you didn't see who messed with the elevator? Oh, now that you mention it. So Odo replaces one of the guards and stands outside Shakar's, or I guess it's Kira's place, until Shakar comes out.
Yep. The next morning.
Or something. Then Odo goes into Kira's quarters and finds the aftermath of romantic times.
Yep.
There's champagne, like very earth-looking champagne. And Kira immediately admits to it and seems very happy. But Odo is clearly heartbroken. Then Kira hugs him and says what a great friend he is. Then Odo leaves without asking his questions, whatever they were.
Yeah, no idea. My working theory is he was going to admit his feelings to Kira to see, if it went anywhere. But now it's like, oh, I'm too late. Dude got there first.
I mean, that would make sense, but then we get the whole you've got to admit your feelings beat after this. So, had he already resolved to admit his feelings, then he changed his mind, and then Quark changed his mind back, or?
Well, but the thing is, it's like, Quark is like, you have to admit your feelings, or else, like, let it go, or whatever, and Odo goes with the one that we probably didn't expect, which is just the let it go.
Mm-hmm.
Also, random note, I don't know if we talked about this the first time Shakar showed up, because I didn't remember it coming up, but I didn't realize that he is the guy from the Next Generation episode Sub Rosa. He plays, like, sex ghost guy.
Oh my gosh, he's the Sub Rosa sex ghost?
Yeah, Ronin is the name of that character.
Wow.
And so I was like, wow, that is the same guy. Weird.
That definitely did not come up, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I would remember that. Anyway, so Odo goes back to his office. He finds that Worf has already arrested the attempted assassin.
There's not a Cardassian, even though there's a Cardassian movement is the true way. So that was kind of weird, I felt like.
Oh, he's probably a hired gun or whatever.
Well, I thought he'd be a hired gun, but it's like, he admits to being a true way operative. And I was like, okay, so is he just like on permanent retainer to the... I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, operative can cover a lot of, like...
That's true.
Territory.
I also like, there's a note in here that the true way receives its second of 2 mentions in this episode. So it's just not going to come back after this.
Wait, so True Way mentions gets its second of 2 mentions ever?
That is what it says, yes.
Okay. So I guess their movement didn't pick up a lot of steam.
They lost their one operative, and then they just,
Like, they had this one really good guy who was good at, like, planting bombs on runabouts and making elevators malfunction and stuff.
Yep.
And then without him, they didn't have any.
Just fell apart.
He was just I like to think he was just some guy who just wanted to see Cardassia returned to its old glory or something. But anyway, yeah, that plot is totally solved off screen. So,
and yeah, Odo is kind of miffed about it. Where he's like, "Why didn't you even call me?" And Worf's like, "Well, I didn't need to. Your deputies are actually really helpful and well trained, which reflects well on you."
Yep. So, just take the W, Odo. Come on. So now there's nothing for Odo to do but go back to his meticulously arranged quarters and just start tearing shit up.
Yep.
So then Quark comes in wearing a big Ferengi onesie to complain about the noise.
It points out that, in case you've forgotten, the bucket that he throws against a wall was with a plant in it was the plant given to him by Kira, and the bucket that he used to regenerate in, making the destruction of the plant and the pot highly symbolic.
Oh my gosh. Odo tells Quark he was right about his feelings for Kira. I put a note in here that says colder than a Breen winter. I forgot what context that was set in, but we get another check that Breen is a cold place.
Yeah, they're like, where do we know that's cold? Breen. It's like, we can't say Hoth. What are we gonna do?
Right. Quark tells him this won't do, as it's disrupting his job performance, and thus Quark's manhunt pool.
Oh, it's okay. The quote was, "It takes passion to do something like this, and I always thought you were colder than a Breen winter."
Okay. So Quark tells Odo he either needs to tell Kira how he feels or move on, so that his job performance will normalize and he won't lose money in the pool anymore or whatever.
Yeah, and I like, he's like, you should really be proud, because it's like, it's not about whether you're going to capture the guy, it's how long it will take you to capture the guy. Right. Everyone thinks you're always going to win.
Yeah, everybody knows that you always get the guy in the end.
Not this time, though.
Yep. But Odo's like, oh, I almost thought you were talking to me like a friend. And then Quark's just like, nah.
Not gonna happen. So apparently the look that Odo has when he's like sitting in the rubble of his quarters was a debated thing. It says in the scene where Quark finds Odo sitting on the grounds of his demolished room, a strand of Odo's hair is loose. This was an improvisation by actor Rene Auberjonois. Some of the producers, Ira Stephen Bear included, weren't happy with the look, but they decided to leave it in the episode because it was argued that as Odo's hair is falling out of place, and his hair is part of him, that it symbolizes that Odo is literally falling apart. According to Auberjonois, however, I just pulled some strands out because I was trying to evoke an image from a Japanese print I'd seen of a warrior in defeat.
Huh. I don't quite understand this logic of his hair is part of him. Isn't everybody's hair part of them?
That's what I was going to say. Although he can move and change his hair if he wants. So
yeah.
I get that part is different. I can't will my hair to move around.
True. But you're not always flexing all your muscles at once.
It's true.
So anyway, Odo heads to Kira's and he tells her he has to talk about something. Then Kira braces herself to be told the good news about Jesus, or worse. But Odo simply cancels their standing crime report meeting, and then Kira seems to glom onto the subtext. Or at least that something's up, noting that Odo isn't wearing his belt anymore. So some clever symbolism with this belt going on. It's always worrying when someone's like, I've got to talk to you. Because
yeah, it's just never good.
You know it's going to be some bullshit. Would you come to church with me? It's like, oh, God. Later, Odo strolls into Quark's, where Quark informs him that Kira and Shakar are in the holosuite practicing his speech. Which was, I guess that was set up earlier, that Shakar is not a good public speaker.
Yeah, she said that he used to mumble during mission briefings, and they had to learn to read lips.
You'd think the guy who was leading a resistance cell would be a good speaker, but...
who knows?
This is a good use for the holosuite, though, is simulating a big crowd to talk to.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
Also, apparently, the Federation has agreed to expedite Bajor's entry, so...
By how much? We don't know.
Victory.
But...
Yeah.
We will shave one day off.
Yeah. Instead of noon, we'll do it at 8 a.m. We'll do it when the doors open to the office, So Quark thanks Odo for installing soundproofing in his floor, which Odo says has nothing to do with him, but we know better.
I'm just having it reinforced. The fact that it's also right. Soundproof is beside the point.
Yep.
The idea that his floor needs reinforcing. You don't want Quark spying on you. That's really what he should have said. It's just no, I had to have it soundproofed because I realized that you could hear what's going on in there and you might spy on important business.
Yeah. Then Kira and Shakar come down from the holosuite having a good time, and then Odo looks on at peace and heads back to work. The end.
Yep.
It's kind of a hard episode to recap because it's kind of all in moments and performances and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, despite the big bodyguard type plot, it's really it's really a character episode and really an Odo character episode. Yeah. And so, and a lot of it, like you said, is played with Odo just looking awkwardly at things. Mm. So yeah, it's kind of weird to describe. So Rene Echevarria, in the original draft he did for the episode, towards the end of the episode, there's an explosion, and Shakar and Kira are in the path of the fire, and Odo has to decide which one to protect. He loves Kira, but he's been assigned to guard Shakar. And he chooses to save Shakar, and Kira is almost killed. Then at the end of the episode, we find out that Odo made his choice out of spite. According to Echevarria, this denouement just did not work, so we massively overhauled the story and made it a much more gentle show.
Sure. I mean, that is kind of an obvious dilemma to put Odo in, but then have that turn out to be, it's oh yeah, you don't like me? Die in a fire.
Yeah, that is really intense as a response. I'm glad that they did not go that way.
Yeah, but you could play it where Odo kind of snaps back to reality and realizes oh hey, this sucks, but this is probably the correct thing to do. Then, I don't know, but they did not go that way. So
this is the second appearance of Shakar, and apparently Ira Stephen Bear was not real happy with the character in this episode. Although he is very careful to accept the blame himself and not accuse the actor of a poor performance. He says, I think we mishandled his character in this episode, and he never recovered after that. The first time we saw him, he was Clint Eastwood, the foreigner, the man of few words, the terrorist. He became too sensitive here. It just wasn't the same Shakar.
I don't know. I wasn't bothered, but you can't be like the same crazy outlaw guy when you're the leader of the whole world.
Right. He's had to become a politician.
Right. And like I think they even kind of played it well where they had his adjutant and then this guy was always handling him and, dropping little references like, yeah. It's like, remember, enunciate when you speak and stuff like that. So, it kind of makes it seem like, he's been kind of like trained and integrated into the system after being an outsider for so long.
Yeah.
So I think they did it okay.
Oh, so this is random. So Alan Croker is a guy who...
I was almost about to say, is he related to Al Roker? But then I was like, no.
No, that doesn't make any sense. Alan Croker is a guy who directed lots of Star Trek, although I don't think he doesn't show up in Star Trek until like the 5th season of Deep Space Nine will be his first episode. But he directs lots of Star Trek after that. He directed some Battlestar Galactica, some Firefly, some Bones and Charmed and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So he's been around the block directing sci-fi stuff. And so I need to establish that because otherwise this last fact makes no sense. It says, this episode is Alan Croker's all-time favorite Deep Space Nine show. When he was hired to direct The Assignment, that's the season 5 episode that is the first Star Trek he directs, he watched all of the episodes made prior to it from Emissary onward, and this one was his favorite.
Huh.
So
cool.
I like the effort put into that as a new director on the show to go and watch 5 seasons of the show first. Like that's some dedication.
Yeah, that's some professionalism right there.
Yeah.
Like I'm kind of wondering because I was actually thinking not too long ago before we watched this episode. It was like they kind of haven't touched on the Odo Kira stuff in a while. And I was like, and then I saw this episode. I was like, was this meant to just be like kind of be a bookend to that for a while or whatever, where they don't want to just keep touching on this Odo Kira stuff forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just going to like put it on the shelf for a little while until we have something else to do with it.
Random fun fact about the expanded universe. In the Deep Space Nine relaunch novels, Shakar gets assassinated.
Oh no.
And it's then revealed that he's been taken over, I don't even know if we know when, by one of those parasitic creatures from the Next Generation episode Conspiracy.
Oh.
So how long was he? I think bluegills is the name that gets used for those in the fandom. But
crazy. I assume like stuff happens after that.
Yeah, no, I think that's like an early point in those books, and it leads to there's a big conspiracy with these bug guys or whatever.
It's not just like by the way, that guy's a conspiracy alien now.
Wow, what a weird coincidence. He's dead now, so I guess who cares?
I mean, my one big note before we do any reviews is that this is just like this is a huge slowdown in pace after Paradise Lost, I feel like.
It sure is.
It feels kind of like speeding down the freeway for a while, and then when you're like driving down the highway and then you have to drive through a town. Yeah. That's what it feels like. Anyway. Yeah. Not necessarily in a good or bad way. I was just like, man, this like change in pace is like, and you have to like slam the brakes because the cop is going to pull you over.
Well, yeah, there's going to be a cop waiting right there.
If you pass the 50 mile an hour sign going 51 miles an hour. Okay, so title review. Can you please explain to me how this title fits with the episode?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
I think this might be a new winner over The Wire. Over of title that just seems to have nothing to do with the actual content of the episode.
No one's getting caught in a crossfire, metaphorically or physically. I don't know. Like, maybe there's another definition for crossfire that I don't know. Hold on, let's see.
Like maybe Kira's in the crossfire of Odo and Shakar's romantic intentions or something.
Okay, so crossfire, military term for the sighting of weapons so that the arcs of fire overlap. So Odo and Shakar overlap in their interest in Kira? I don't know. Let's see. There's several comics called Crossfire. There's some films called Crossfire.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being a 2023 film, so that's probably not relevant to this one. The other ones being a 1933 Western and a 1947 film noir starring Robert Mitchum.
Huh.
The Robert Mitchum movie deals with the theme of anti-Semitism, so, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Is that involved here somehow?
I don't think so. I didn't hear anybody express any anti-Semitism or anything like that in the episode.
Let's see. There's some novels called Crossfire, including one called Crossfire: The Plot That Killed Kennedy.
That obviously is a conspiracy-minded book. There's not Crossfire if there's only one guy shooting.
There's an episode of Castle called Crossfire, and an episode of Supergirl, and an episode of Deep Space Nine. I knew that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, tell us in the comments.
Oh, in Bangladesh, Crossfire are extrajudicial killings by law enforcement agencies in Bangladesh.
They're called Crossfire?
Apparently, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, okay. Crossfire in Bangladesh refers to the death of a person by gunshot, oftentimes under the custody of law enforcement agencies.
So, like, you're just in the back of a cop car and a cop shoots you, and that's called Crossfire?
I guess so. There are accusations that it is staged extrajudicial killing, which, it kind of sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I don't think that that's relevant here.
Yeah.
You're not Odo's not trying to extrajudiciously kill Shakar.
Right. It's like Ira Stephen Bear is like, we really wanted to bring a spotlight on this issue of extrajudicial killings in Bangladesh.
He would have said that. That sounds very much like him. Wouldn't it have been crazy if at the end of the episode it turns out that Odo was behind the conspiracy to kill Shakar?
See, that would have been cool.
And he gets away with it. He doesn't manage to kill Shakar, but he frames somebody else for it, and they never catch him.
It's like he goes into a shadowy cave, and this Cardassian guy comes out. He's like, "You did good work, Operative Odo." And then Odo's like, "Speak not of it. It is the true way." And
Odo was also not on the shuttle that the True Way attacked. So come on. Have you ever seen Odo and the True Way in the same room at the same time? I don't think so. Except for that True Way operative that Worf caught. But
yeah. Oh, we do learn that Odo has contacts in the civilian government.
Yep. He got contacts everywhere, this guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I still don't know where he develops these contacts, but good for him.
Yeah. Does he just call people, be like, "Hey, you want to be my contact?"
With Cardassians, it makes slightly more sense to me because he lived for years on the Cardassian station. He easily could have met some people and kept in touch with them, even if they weren't all that important. But it's when he has contacts in Starfleet intelligence and stuff, and I'm like, wait, how'd that happen?
Maybe this was product placement by the Crossfire board game. And
yeah, that's what it was.
It's like every commercial started with a Crossfire commercial.
It could have. That commercial was everywhere in the 90s. I remember it deeply. I like that idea. They're like, "Hey, we'll pay you a bunch of money if you name an episode of the show Crossfire. We don't even care which one."
I haven't thought about the Crossfire board game in such a long time.
No, even with the name of the episode, I actually didn't think about it until you started the episode with the little jingle, and I was like, "Oh no, now it's in my brain."
Yeah. Okay, so episode review. Review of the episode Crossfire. Whatever that means.
Yep. So our title review was not good, right? Possibly worst of all time.
Yeah, definitely most confusing of all time.
Yeah, okay.
So what do you think about the episode Crossfire?
So the episode relies completely on you being invested in the Kira Odo. It's not even a relationship, on Odo's interest in Kira. And my big problem is that I don't care. I'm just at least about Heart of Stone, you could say that there's more going on, that, it's a plot by the Changeling to figure out why Odo wants to stay. And then you have to drill down to it and you find out, oh my gosh, he's in love with her, which we've already kind of suspected. There's some arguments for that episode isn't entirely about that. It's just the reveal at the end of the episode or whatever that it's built towards. This is just, as much as I can enjoy a good Odo episode, I don't think this is a good Odo episode. I think that this is an episode with Odo being angsty and, quite frankly, really unreasonable and emotional in ways that we haven't seen Odo before. And I get that that's kind of what they're going for, because this is new ground for him. And in that way, it's kind of interesting. And he doesn't have the relationship maturity to take rejection well, which, hey, I've been there when I was younger. I did not have the relationship maturity in college to take rejection as well as I should have. So I get that, but I don't care. The episode relies on me caring about this, and I don't care about it. So I don't like it. And my only question is, how much don't I like it? I think I'm going to call this a lieutenant junior grade.
Okay. Yeah, this is really tough for me because my main point here is that I really respect the episode, especially the writing. Mm-hmm. I think that I think Renee Echevarria is the best writer on Deep Space Nine.
I wouldn't argue that. Yeah.
Every time I find myself really impressed with their writing, it turns out to be him. So
okay.
It's really hard to tell a story like this without seeming to take Odo way out of character. But I mean, also people get out of character in, situations where, they have an infatuation or they're under stress or something like that.
Yeah, romantic stress definitely can take people way outside of their normal character. I would agree, yeah.
And I think this really rides the line really well with how it handles it. I kind of buy every, all of it, when Odo is all, giddy when Kira shows up and when he's all awkward and upset when she's with Shakar and stuff. And a lot of that's the performance too.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of a clever way to start off the Kira-Shakar relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And do a cool Odo spotlight at the same time. But just like you, it's really hard to get actually invested in this. And it's just kind of if you're not into it, there's really nothing else in the episode to kind of latch on to.
Yeah, the only other thing that we get is the murder plot, which gets resolved off screen by someone else.
Right. It's really it's kind of almost background.
Yeah.
This murder plot. The only thing I really do like about it is the Quark and Odo stuff. Because I always kind of, playing with that relationship, the mutual respect and also mutual antagonism. Mm-hmm. But I'm having a really hard time trying to decide whether it's above or below the line.
Okay.
Cause every time I think it's would I want to watch this episode again? Probably not. So I think, even though I really love a couple of those Quark and Odo moments, I think I also have to put it below the line. But I'm just going to put it at Lieutenant, full on Lieutenant.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. Yeah, and I'd kind of forgotten about I agree that is a fun relationship. Almost every I can think of one episode offhand that I don't love that is about that relationship, but almost every time that we see the two of them getting some deep interaction, there's so many layers to that relationship that it's really interesting.
Right. And I think it kind of just is almost what Quark says, where it's stuff is out of whack. It's no good for anybody for Odo to be like this.
It's true. Yeah.
I kind of believe him when he says, yeah, we just got to get stuff back to normal because this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like his pajamas.
Yeah.
How does he get in and out of those pajamas? Is there a zipper on the back?
I was looking back at the other Renee Echevarria episodes that he's written, so I can see if I agree with you that he does some good writing. So I mean, we got I, Borg back in Next Generation and Ship in a Bottle. The Face of the Enemy, also a good one. Birthright Part 2, Descent Part 2. He seems to do some Part 2s.
Was Face of the Enemy the Major Recall?
The Troy is a Romulan one, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
Lower Decks, which that's an okay episode, yeah, okay. In this series, he didn't start writing until season 3, and we have Equilibrium, Past Tense Part 2. He's still on the Part 2s. Improbable Cause, Explorers, Facets, Rejoined, and now Crossfire.
So some of those we liked, some of those not so much.
Yeah.
I mean, although I think this is the first time either of us has given a negative review this season.
I think you're right. Yeah, this season has been good, and
yeah,
not always like super top shelf, but they can't all be super top shelf. It's been overall good, and like classically, this is the where it got good point this season because of the Cisco facial hair and baldness or whatever. But I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a wrong evaluation based on our episode by episode look here, because last season, I feel like each season has gotten more positive overall, but this season I think just has started off at a pretty high point. So
it's like more consistent, and kind of I think by now they know like what works, what doesn't work, like what can we get away with, and how do we use our budget and all that stuff. So it's like they can kind of cruise at that kind of like high lieutenant commander, low commander level, and then every once in a while maybe put in something really good.
Yep. And it's also interesting that not only have they been consistently pretty good, we have consistently agreed for the most part on more or less how good it is. So I feel like that says a lot too.
Yeah. Anyway, you got a pitch for the next episode?
Okay, so the next episode, this one was a tough one for me. I'm thinking we've got a little bit of Kelly's Heroes.
Ooh.
And a little bit of Star Trek 4.
Ooh, sold. How can you not come back after that?
Yeah, exactly.
So if I'm in the elevator, I'm handing you the number to my assistant, being like, "Let's stay in touch."
I thought you were gonna say if you're in the elevator has begun crashing, and we're gonna have to stop it.
After the elevator started plummet, and then one of us turned our arms into pistons and stopped the elevator.
Yeah,
we should be like, "But that pitch you gave, I'm interested."
Now that we're not dead, let's talk.
It's like, set up an appointment.
I love the note in here. Cisco is back to wearing his usual uniform in this episode. Well, yeah.
Obviously. I mean, some of these notes, man.
I know. Also, Jake doesn't appear again.
Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, that would just complicate things with, Jake's feelings for Kira also. Like,
that they never cured him of that. It was sad.
I want to later have another episode that's exactly the same thing, but with Jake instead of Odo.
Yep. And we get the brief encounter with Jimenez in this episode, who I felt like was somebody we'd seen before, but he's not.
Yeah. Well, we had Munoz or Muniz or whatever. This is Jimenez. Yeah, he had kind of a weird high number of lines for like one of those background guys.
Yeah, and apparently the video game Star Trek Starship creator involves Jimenez. It says gives him the first name Carlos, and according to his biography, he was born on Emila 2 to parents Reina and Aurelio Jimenez.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
Oh, he's related to Aurelio.
Yeah. So, I don't know how detailed Starship creator gets, but that's a hell of a thing.
People want to know these details. Like one of my favorite Pro ZD videos is it's like overly specific fan wikis, and nice. It's like, wait, Huey from DuckTales, is he good or evil? And then he goes on the DuckTales fan wiki, and it's like alignment good. He's like, oh, thank God.
Well, no, Huey is definitely good. I mean, don't get Louie is evil, but
oh, Louie is evil.
Yeah, you ever watch the new the reboot?
No.
Well, yeah, I think it may be the first episode where like Webbigail's like, which one of you is the evil twin? And then both of the others are like, Louis, and then Louis just like, like yeah, he goes along. He's good with that. For anyone out there who likes DuckTales, the reboot was actually really good. Great show, and you should check it out.
I just have to go to the DuckTales wiki now and see Louis Duck. I'm an adult or I'm a kid? I'm an adult. Kids can't know if he's good or evil. alignment good. It says Louis is good.
Oh, it does.
So.
It says it right there. Yep. Interesting.
Thank God.
As someone who has contributed to various super specific fan wikis, I'm not going to judge. I wrote a whole article on a fan wiki about like the calendar system in this book series because it was so odd that I was like, no, I have to like dig through all of the books in the series and figure out how the calendar works, and then I'm going to write it out.
Nice.
So, been there.
Although the evil triplet is listed as one of his aliases.
Well, yeah, see, there you go.
The Green Nephew. Well, yeah. He's the green one.
Yeah, sometimes Scrooge is like, yeah, the green one.
His name is Llewellyn Duck.
Yep, Llewellyn. They're Hubert, Duford, and Llewellyn.
Nice.
But yeah, and I mean, and Scrooge is played by David Tennant in that, who's a great actor. He's also in Ahsoka as the robot, or the droid rather. So he's getting around doing some after Doctor Who, he had to do some stuff,
Yeah. David Tennant's always doing stuff. Like he's in Good Omens.
Oh yeah, he definitely. I haven't watched that new season of Good Omens, and I keep meaning to. It's just like I got to sit down and do it.
So much TV. Maybe this writers and actors strike will slow down the fire hose of TV for a while.
Could be. I heard today that there's talks about extending it to like video game acting.
Not that I don't want them
not included so far.
Not that I don't want them to get a good deal, but
no, yeah, absolutely. It's like they deserve a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, everybody deserves to fight for what they want to get paid.
Yep, Fran Drescher's out there leading the way.
But if there's a slowdown at the pace of TV production and I can take a little bit of break, that's good too. Anyway, yep, I guess we'll call it there.
Okay.
Unless you got any
No, I'm good.
Anything okay, so if you made it this far, thanks for listening. Don't forget to check the description. Something interesting in there. The Crossfire commercial's going in there.
Yeah, and you can link to that ProZD video. You can
we got all kinds of
a
good
Louis
stuff.
Duck clip. Why not? Yeah,
right.
Whatever.
I'm just gonna put a link to the Louis, the Louis DuckTales wiki or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm Fletcher. About to say goodbye as Data.
See ya.
Till we meet again. Keep the blood wine warm and the prune juice chilled.